Hey guys, it's DMO73 bringing you a deck profile for one of the two decks we showed off in the match this past week. This is Vampire Joan of Arc. This is based off Santucci Giovanni's list. He placed in the top 8 in the Italian Open. We did two card changes just for personal tech choices, but other than that, this is his build. So it's inspired by his build. So, Nameless Girl is the ruler side, doesn't really do much, no effects. J-activate is pay a blue, a red, and 2 colorless, but you can pay 0 if a human hit your graveyard this turn. So that's that, and then her ruler side, J-ruler side is Joan of Arc, the Flame of Hatred. When she hits board, all humans get killed. You can tap her to negate damage from a human that turn, and you can pay a red and one other to do 500 damage to a human. So she does a lot of stuff with race changing, using like Mooldjart and other stuff to make her burn stuff more powerful. Plus she's a 12/12, so that is a huge body to start the board with and swing in with just her. She does a lot of really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and get right into the actual deck list. Let's start with the stones. We have 4 Stones of Dark Depths, that's black, blue. This list is black, blue, red, so we have to use as many tool stones as possible. So we have 4 black, blue stones. We have 4 Stones of Scorched Bales, which is black, red, and then we have 1 Magic Stone of Hearth's Core, which is your blue, red, and then a Mooldjart, the Fantasy Stone. This stone produces blue, but at the same time, if you tap it and another blue, you can change the race of any card on the board, making it a human, hey, for Joan of Arc. So you can do a lot of interesting plays with that. Moving right along, we're gonna jump right into the monsters. Because this is there's no green in this deck, there's no ramp to worry about, but you still need to be able to draw cards. And since you run blue, hey look, you can run Cheshire Cats. We've gone over Cheshire Cat before. It's your pretty standard, just draw 2, put 1 back on top of your deck, chump block, millable, searchable, like all kinds of good stuff. So it's pretty standard in any kind of water deck. And then 3 Mermaid of Tragic Love, 2-drop, 5/3, forces your opponent to block it. If it dies, you draw a card. You get to do some really interesting plays with this. You can use Mooldjart to change it into a human when you haven't tapped her for mana. Swing in, they have to block, it dies, you draw a card, and you can J-activate for free. So that's pretty awesome. It's a pretty interesting play. Plus it can help you commit your opponent's monsters to block so that your big bodies can swing through for game. I've done that several times in some games, and it's pretty awesome. And then moving on to kind of the dark stuff, it is running the Vampire package. Like we said, it's Vampire Joan, so you run 4 Lora the Blood Speaker. 2-drop, search for a vamp. You're pretty much always going to search for Carmilla. Sometimes though, if you want to load up your board, you'll search for more Loras. So it helps thin out your deck, it adds consistency to the deck, and a 3/3 is not terrible. And then 3 Cinderella the Ashen Maiden. This is another one of the tricks that you can use to J-activate. You can make one of your monsters a human, use Cinderella's ability, banish it for cost of Cinderella, do some damage, and then J-activate for free. Plus board wipes against mid-range stuff and do all kinds of stuff you saw in the match. Cinderella saw some play from both deck we were playing. So Cinderella is really good in that regard. And then to go along with Cinderella, we have the Deadman Prince. This is just for recursion of your monsters. You hit it, hits the board, put a Resonator from your graveyard back into your hand. Lets you recycle your Mermaid, lets you recycle your Cinders, lets you recycle kind of everything that you need. So that does a lot of work, and then you can search for this whenever Cinderella does damage. So again, let's add some consistency to the deck, seems good. And then the heavy hitter of the Vampire package, 3 Carmillas. It's just a 4-drop, hits the board, kills something. You don't worry about any of the other effects because you're not running Drac. I mean, you can side into Drac with this deck if you want, but most of our matches we haven't covered side decking. So it's just a 4-drop, 8/8 body that kills one thing on board as long as it's not a vampire. Kills one thing on board as soon as it hits board. So that's pretty awesome. Take care of a big threat. Then, for some more kind of spot removal, this deck has a lot of spot removal. You have 2 Swordsman of the Full Moon. It's flying. It's got the same cost as Carmilla in terms of total cost, so it's a 4-drop. And then hits the board, bounce something back to your opponent's hand. So not only is it removal, but it also forces your opponent to recommit mana to get that monster back on board. And it's flying, so you can swing in for extra little 900 pokes here and there, and have a nice little, 900 point blocker body. So that's pretty sweet. And then to kind of swing in for the finish, you have Gilles, the dragon. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a 6-drop, flying swiftness, gets pumped up damage based on how many redstones you have. You run quite a few redstones in this deck, so you can just kind of pop it out of nowhere and swing in to finish the game if your opponent isn't expecting it or doesn't have the flying to block it. This can just kind of be like your finishing move where you don't want to deal with your opponent's board and you just swing in for game. So that's it for the monster lineup. Moving on to spells, we'll start with the instants. We run red, so 4 Thunders, pretty standard in any kind of red build. Quick burn to your opponent to win the game, quick burn to a monster, quick burn to something that's blocking you. It's a 1-drop red, 500 damage, like pretty self-explanatory. And then we do the 4 Stoning to Death. Again, it's a 2-drop black, spell instant, kill something that is a problem. Like, that's pretty standard there. Because you want to be able to get those bodies off board as fast as possible when you're dealing with it, and even during your opponent's turn if possible, so Stoning to Death is a good answer for that. We run Cinderellas, but I also I've talked before about Cinderella, Slippers of Cinderella being a great kind of offense-defense card. You can put it on something to make it die, you can put it on your Cinderella to pump it up. Just 2, but 2 is pretty much all you need, because you see it when you want it, and it gets play kind of anytime, so it's good stuff. And then to the spell Chance, the non-instance, 2 Rapid Decay. This really helps out a lot in the aggro matchup, especially if you're playing like True Little Red, because it doesn't matter how big their Tin Man gets, it's still a 1-drop, so I can just pop it and kill it. So that's really effective. And then the change that we made is instead of running 1 Inquisition, we run 3. I just like Inquisition a lot, especially with Joan of Arc. I can tap a Cheshire, I can tap a creature. Even if I just have Cheshire Cat on board, I can tap Cheshire Cat and pop something on their side of the board without losing anything because they can't target my Cheshire Cat. So I really like this card a lot, just for more spot removal, and I think it does a good job, so I like that a lot. And then the final 2 spells are 2 Spiral of Despair, just for a small little discard package. Santucci ran 4. I personally didn't want to do that. I took 2 out and put in 2 more Inquisitions, because I'm more worried about field presence than hand presence, but again, that was his playstyle. He was going into a control-heavy format, so that makes a lot of sense. So with that is the deck list, guys. So the link will be down below, as well as the full deck list will be down below. I invite you guys to go check out the match if you haven't already. Tune in next week when we're going to be doing another feature match, and check back later today when we'll be posting the deck list for the Musketeer deck you saw in that match this past Wednesday. As always, guys, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what decks you want to see us play and profile next. And until that time, this is DMO73 signing off.